Coming up on this episode of DL Weekly, no signs of Murphy anymore. A lot of Fantasyland attractions will be down together. New Make-A-Wish windows.
New Guardians items and a new Guardians character. We talk about our Star Wars night and Disneyana event experience and more. DL Weekly starts now.
Hello, everyone. Welcome aboard the DL Weekly podcast. Please, lower your head and watch your step while boarding. If this is your first time listening, we hope you'll check out our website at DLWeekly.net. If you have more time to spend, becoming an official weekly tier at DLWeekly.net/support is an especially good value. Thanks for traveling with us today, and we hope you have a happy and memorable listen to this week's episode.
Hello and welcome to this episode of DL Weekly for the week of May 10th, 2023. I'm Teresa Urban.
And I'm Teg Bushman. Thank you to Mark T., Barbara H., Ronnie H., and Leah A. for becoming official weekly tiers on our Patreon. Our supporters get some pretty fun perks like DL Weekly swag, bonus content, and access to our Discord community. A special thank you to Michael F., Diana D., Megan A., and Nathan R. for your continued support. If you would like some more Disney magic in your day, head on over to DLWeekly.net/support and join the community.
Well, you've heard us talk about all of our great experiences staying at the Howard Johnson in Anaheim. Well, we have partnered with them to offer our listeners some really cool discounts. Weekly tiers can get 15% off their stay, and Magic Key Holder weekly tiers get 20% off. To take advantage of these discounts, head on over to DLWeekly.net and click on the Howard Johnson logo. Or you can head on over to our Instagram page and click the link in the bio. Be sure to use the promo codes that are listed on both our Instagram and website to get the discount you qualify for.
Now let's get to the news.
Well, as of May 8th, the scrims have come down around the Fantasmic stage on Tom Sawyer Island. There's almost no indication that a fire happened on the stage, with the exception of a small amount of soot near the edge of the platform that covers the lift, which had raised Murphy into place.
Man, when we were there, we had seen a little bit of activity through parts of the scrim. We had seen that they had built up like another layer of scrim, during the week we were there. I did not know what was happening with this. I did not know how long it was going to take or if they were leaving it there to continue to work on their investigation of what happened, et cetera, et cetera. It was surprising when Teresa found this today and sent me the picture and said, well, Murphy's gone. I'm like, what? Already? Wow. So the scrims are down. You wouldn't have even known anything's there. So it sounds like from the people that Mice Chat has talked to that it won't be opening up till towards the end of the month because they had already told the cast members that work on the show that they wouldn't be needed until that time. But I think functionally it could work in a B mode as soon as this weekend. But again, if Mice Chat's sources are to be believed, they're not going to have them just from cast update.
Like Teg said, I was kind of surprised. We were keeping a close eye on the stage while we were there during our recent trip, and it seemed like there was still a lot of work. So we weren't sure, if it was the investigation that was taking a while and holding things up, or if it was just the prop itself, if they were having issues with, what to do. Because I think we talked about this when we discussed Fantasmic a couple weeks back, but the prop used to kind of fold up onto itself, and that's how Murphy fit under the stage. Well, of course, with it being damaged, it wasn't, they probably weren't able to use that function anymore. So I don't know. I'd be curious to know. We probably won't ever find out exactly everything going on with this, but I'm curious to know, did they remove Murphy completely, or is Murphy still under the stage, or what's kind of the next step, or where are we at with poor Murphy? I'm hoping she's resting peacefully somewhere and not kind of in limbo, being under the stage in her, I'm going to call it her cave. But yeah, so I'm curious to see what the next steps are.
I'm guessing that they, at least for this portion, I'm guessing that they at least got the top neck and head mechanism that was still above from photos we saw the morning after. At least that is gone. Yeah. And they got it down to a point where they can put the cover back so they can continue to work on it, out of sight of guests. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so I'm with you. I hope that they're figuring something out. They're working on something. And maybe by this time next year, we'll have a new Murphy. Fingers crossed. Well, lots of refurbishment is coming to Fantasyland next month. According to the park calendar, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, Peter Pan's Flight, and Alice in Wonderland will be down starting Monday, June 5th. The calendar shows Alice and Toad coming back Friday the 16th, but no date is set for Peter Pan. The good news is the Matterhorn should be back before all of these closures.
I don't remember, don't quote me, this may just be a rumor, but it seemed weird to me that half of Fantasyland basically is closing, half of the dark rides are closing all at the same time. There's a tickle in my brain that somewhere I had read that there needs to be some roof repair done that happens where these attractions are. And so that's why these 3 attractions are all affected at the same time. Because if you look at them, as you know, Toad and Alice are kind of on top of each other at different points. And then, of course, Peter Pan's right next door. But I read somewhere, again, this might just be a rumor. I don't remember off the top of my head where it was I saw this. But I had seen somewhere that they were going to be doing some work to the roof, and it has nothing to do necessarily with the attractions themselves. Maybe they might take this time, since the attractions are closed, to also do some work inside on the attractions, but the main thing is roof repairs.
Yeah, I think that they I think that I didn't see what you saw, but I was commenting, I think, to you that with all 3 of them going down, that it must be something with the building that they need to do, because they are all located in that same building. Although it's kind of interesting, because if they were just doing roof work, Mr. Toad is basically like under Alice. So wouldn't they just need to close Alice because it's kind of I don't know.
I don't know if it's a noise thing or what, but yeah.
I will say that when we rode Peter Pan this trip, it did seem like it was a little rougher than usual. So it would be nice if they're going to do anything with those attractions during that time. Maybe they'll add some fun little pieces, because they added some stuff to Alice, but they added a little bit of things to Peter, but they haven't added anything to Toad. So maybe we'll get some cool projection stuff with Toad, maybe. Well, along with World Wish Day, a celebration of the founding of the Make-A-Wish Foundation, Disneyland celebrated in its own way and dedicated windows around the corner on Main Street. The 3 windows include a center window dedicated to the Make-A-Wish and all the Wish Kids past, present, and future, and the side windows honor Chris Grecius, the wish that inspired the creation of Make-A-Wish, and Frank Bopsy Salzar, the first official wish granted by Make-A-Wish, and the first Disney wish. Disney as a whole has made nearly 150,000 wishes come true, and Disneyland was part of the first official wish. That's so cool. I know that we've talked about Make-A-Wish before on the show, and how many wishes have been granted through Disneyland and Walt Disney World. But the thing for me when I saw this, okay, this is going to be a funny thing. So we're pretty familiar with Disneyland, would you say? I knew where these were. Okay. I wasn't going to throw you under the bus. I'm saying, but we're pretty familiar with Disneyland. Yes. So I saw this photo of Josh D'Amaro at this podium, and I thought, because of the angle and everything, I thought, oh, this is over by the Jungle Cruise. No, it's the other side, because I never go over to this section, because it's really kind of tucked back behind the corn dog wagon and everything. And we did on our trip go over and look at these. And so they look great. It's cool that they had 3 windows there to be able to do these 3 windows for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Perfect. And they had this whole ceremony and everything, which I thought was really great. I would recommend to people that next time you're in the park, go check these out, because they're pretty cool. They're beautiful. They also, the lounge, our tour guide told us this, that the lounge used to be the Make-A-Wish Lounge, but now it's just the Wish Lounge. Yes. For any type of stuff, I guess, any type of wishes that people make that go in there. So pretty cool. Well, on the heels of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3's huge weekend debut, there's a new face at the Awesome Dance-Off, which Teresa was very excited about this weekend. I was. Mantis has taken Gamora's place for the street show, bringing some new humor. Along with Mantis, there are new treats inside Avengers Campus, including Milky Fizz, a desert pear-flavored soda water with cream. Then at the Pym Tasting Lab, there are the Zarg Bits, which is a tasty snack inspired by the Zarg nuts that are in the film. There's also a second cold brew. It's Experiment 1517, which is cardamom and caramel churro cold brew. Yum. They did not have that one there when we went, but they did have the Oreo cold brew when we went, and I'll let Tag talk about that. It is a stunning turn of events. First of all, I don't like coffee. And in a stunning turn of events, I drank this. In fact, I took a sip of Teresa's, and it was so good. She also agreed it was good.
It's very sweet, though.
Yes.
It is very sweet. It's very desserty.
That on our last day in California Adventure, I ordered this drink because it was the only coffee drink. I think it's the only coffee drink I've ever had that I could drink. It was very good.
And you drank the entire thing.
I did drink the entire thing. It was very, very good. The Oreo pieces or whatever on the outside, like the rim, not like hard to eat. They were good. Hard to get to.
Yeah, that's more of a decoration.
What did you think? You liked it.
I enjoyed it, but even more than the cold brew, I was so excited for Mantis. So we just this was so cool. We just happened to be in the parks on Mantis's first official day in DCA. As soon as we realized that they announced that she was at the parks, and she was already at the parks doing her thing, we were in Galaxy's Edge, and Tag and I went over to DCA because I had to see her, and I think Tag was just along for the ride, which I thank you for. But she was so fun. So Tag and I had watched. Why did we ended up watching the Awesome Dance Party multiple times. The first time we watched it because we were waiting for James and Vern to get done with the attraction. The second time we watched it because Vern, of course, loves the Awesome Dance Party. So he wanted to be a part of it, so we watched the whole thing. So first time we watched it,
Spoiler
it was
alert,
just Star-Lord.
We watched four performances of this.
The first time we watched it, it was just Star-Lord on his own. The second time we watched it, it was Star-Lord with Gamora. And then this was the third time we watched it, and it was Star-Lord and Mantis. And holy cow, the friend of Mantis looks like her, acts like her, full embodiment of Mantis. She was amazing. She had they had the correct contacts in, so her eyes looked like they were full black like Mantis's. I liked her little antenna that she had on her head, and she was hilarious. The absolute perfect person to be part of the Awesome Dance Party.
So before we saw her, you had already started your mini obsession with her.
She just looks so good.
Okay. Because Teresa saw it and was like, we have to go do this. And then we went over to do it. And it was so funny because she was so excited for it and then took a bunch of photos. By the way, Teresa got a photo of her and Star-Lord together. That Mantis and Star-Lord, to be clear, together, that looked like a promo shot.
It did.
To the effect that somebody else on social media posted one that was similar to it. And I told Teresa, I said, I think they stole our photo. But Teresa showed me the original and said, no, it's different. So she did a very good job of it. And I thought for sure
that photo, if you're curious, I did post that photo to social media. I got a little Mantis crazy on social media.
Yes,
so there's a couple of posts, and there is a reel of the performance. I didn't put any sound or anything because I wanted you guys to hear some of her lines because she was just so funny. One of her first lines was, Peter is kind of introducing her because it's her first time on Earth, and and Peter calls it Tara. She's like, so this is Tara, and she's like, smells buttery. He's like, that's rude. You can't say that. It's a mix of popcorn and sunscreen. You'll eat both or whatever. And then she did something and was kind of being, Mantis. And he's like, be nice, blend in. And she just kind of awkwardly looks at the crowd. And she's like, I like butter. She was just perfect addition. She had sweet, fun dance moves. I loved her.
She had that silly...
I just loved her so much.
She had that silliness that I like Drax for, which is kind of like that... They don't realize they're being funny.
Yeah, it's
So...
It's awkward. Them being awkward, but it's hilarious.
Yeah.
So good. So
it was good. But also, just to be fair to Teresa, one of the reasons she was very excited about this was we are never at the parks when something premieres. And Teresa had been watching social media all morning, and she was pretty certain that we were one of the first people to post about it actually happening.
Yeah, which,
so she was very excited for that, of wouldn't this be cool if we got a lot of engagement because we were one of the first people to do it. So I understood why she was doing it. So
I mean,
but you also just liked her.
I loved her. I absolutely loved her and wanted to share her and feel like everyone needs to go see Mantis if they can. And if you can't go see Mantis, then hopefully you'll get some enjoyment on the little Instagram video that I did. I'm going to be a nerd. I'm probably going to put another one out there. That is how much I love her.
Wow.
I love her so much. She was so fun.
Are you going to start like a Mantis at DCA dance party fan page?
I might. She's that cool. She needs to stay forever.
I'm sorry,
Gamora.
The thing is Mantis plays into the funny, where Gamora just seemed irritated by the funny.
That's Gamora's thing.
Right.
That's fine.
But I think for this, Star-Lord needs another funny person.
Yeah.
So
oh my gosh, it was perfect. It was like a totally different mini show.
So I will say, in the 4 times we saw it, my rankings of the 3 versions we saw were, my least favorite was Gamora and Star-Lord together. My second favorite was just Star-Lord on his own. And my favorite was Mantis and Star-Lord, for sure.
So good. So good. Well,
it's all downhill for here.
A new twist for the backdrop of World of Color 1. The Orange County Register reports the Incredicoaster, the Inside Out Emotional Whirlwind, and Jumpin' Jellyfish will stay open during the nighttime spectacular for the first time. Jesse's Critter Carousel and the Pixar Pal Around will remain closed.
So I'm excited for this because I never understood why the Incredicoaster and the Whirlwind and the Jellyfish needed to close anyway. I understand the Pal Around because the lights are in a certain configuration there that if it is rotating, aren't going to line up correct. Sure. So I understand that, but I guess the only thing with the Incredicoaster would be just the screams and like the sound of the coaster, but it's so loud, I don't think it's going to matter.
That's what I was thinking too, was just the noise, the noise carrying from the coaster over.
Sure.
Well, and you've got Dash yelling 3, 2, 1, go! So I wonder
they might just not have that.
I was gonna say, I wonder if maybe that'll be turned off for this. But they were not on. You could not ride these attractions while we were there. I don't know if we have a date as to when this starts. But it's soon. But it hadn't already started when we were there, so we didn't get to ride one of these attractions during the show.
I think it'd be cool to ride an attraction during the show.
Jumpin' Jellyfish, I think, would be real cool.
We saw the biggest lines ever for Dok Ondor's on May the 4th in Galaxy's Edge. Star Wars Day brought out the fans, and many of them were on the hunt for the limited edition Cal Kestis lightsaber hilt. By the way, people walking around with this were ridiculous because they were just this big.
It was a very large box. Yeah.
Yep. It appears to have made it onto ShopDisney now for those looking to pick it up. I have seen conflicting reports of whether it's still. Let me double check this because I saw on Mice Chat that it was sold out, but then I had seen from somebody else that it hadn't.
When we were there, it was available, released on May the 4th. It did sell out on May the 4th. However, I want to say it was Friday, May the 5th. Well, was it Friday or Saturday? Either Friday or Saturday. It did come back in stock, and Tag just pulled it up. It is currently in stock again for ShopDisney.
Now, this is interesting because there's only 7,500 of these, so I'm not sure how they keep going in and out of stock unless they're releasing them,
I'm sure. Yep, I'm sure they're slowly
releasing them. It's a cool lightsaber hilt for sure. I almost wanted one. I didn't realize they were $400.
It does come in a display box, which was why the guests that we saw that had purchased these had very large looking boxes. So it's a much bigger box than just what the regular lightsabers come in.
Yep. But I'll tell you, man, I've never seen lines like that. It was nuts.
Shopping on May the 4th was just crazy in general because there was some new merch, a lot of new merch that released over at the Star Trader in Tomorrowland.
Which we talk about later.
40th anniversary merch that had released. And then there was another collection that also had released too. That was really cool because it was really neat. But it was a cluster because you had all of these people going, and the Been There series, the Starbucks Been There series for Star Wars themed things also released that day in Star Tours. And as far as I know, for in the park, that was the only location you could purchase that newly released merchandise.
Yeah.
So not only did you have all the fans that wanted to buy that merchandise going to Star Traders, you had everyone leaving Star Tours because again, you exit through the gift shop, also trying to go in. So it was a very, very, very busy shop. Well, with the live-action Little Mermaid coming out later this month, guests can look forward to meeting the new Ariel sometime in the parks. Halle Berry, who plays Ariel, announced it, but didn't provide any dates. When she arrives from Atlantica, you'll be able to say hello on the promenade near It's a Small World. This is so exciting.
I wonder if this is going to be where they had that little stage set up. I wonder if that's where she'll be hanging out.
Maybe.
When does this movie come out again? I don't even know the release date for the movie. May 26th.
May 26th.
So that is only 3 weeks from now.
The other thing, there was so much merch that we saw in the parks for the new live action Little Mermaid. It was really beautiful. There was new ears. There was a Spirit jersey.
A backpack.
I want to say there was a backpack. There were also some plushes and dolls. Very, very exciting.
No lack of merchandise tie-in in the parks.
I don't think we saw anything Ursula related, though, now that I'm thinking about it. But yeah,
don't
still
talk to
very
me about
exciting.
that.
You're upset.
I love Ursula.
Yeah, you wanted some new Ursula merch.
I love Ursula. Ursula, in my opinion, Ursula is the best part of Little Mermaid. Well, there's a new big dog at Imagineering in Florida. No, really. It's the first canine Imagineer in the U.S. Noodle is a service dog for Imagineer Jacqueline, assisting with her cardiac and respiratory issues. In her spare time, Noodle tends to dozens of rubber ducks under Jacqueline's desk, lounges in her orthopedic bed, or visits cubicles searching for pets and cuddles. Jacqueline's team recently threw Noodle a surprise 4th birthday party, complete with puppy presents and a cake.
How adorable. I just can't get over the fact that this dog's name is Noodle.
And has an Imagineering name tag.
Yes, has its own name tag. It's just super, super cute. So congrats to Noodle and her human Jacqueline.
How cool.
Super,
Look at this
super
dog photo.
Cute. Yes. Adorable.
Oh, originally named Dolly, now Noodle. Noodle's a better name. Noodle's
yeah, well,
cute.
Dolly's probably when she adopted
the
dog, yeah. Well, an unexpected pause in Disney entertainment doesn't get much more adorable than this. Just last month, Magic Happens had to pause as a mama duck and her ducklings crashed the parade and ran in front of the Coco float. Miguel noticed and started waving. Cast members helped guide them to safety, and the parade continued. I also saw an adorable video. It may have been of the same little duck family of the ducks like walking alongside of the parade floats.
Oh, yes.
I saw the video of the parade having to be paused for them to walk across the street there. But I also saw another video of them going alongside the parade. It's just super, super cute. Those Disney ducks are the real stars of Disneyland. They get the true VIP treatment. I mean, come on. The parade stopped just for them.
That's
just
true.
so they could cross the street.
We saw some. They grew up quick too, because I feel like we saw some we saw some like teenage ones. But when I was over near the restroom by the Adventureland restroom there, I did see some itty bitty baby ducks over there that were they weren't with Mama though. I don't know where Mama was, but there was like 6 little itty bitty baby ducks that were getting escorted by Disneyland cast members as well. Yeah.
Super, super cute.
Pilots, we've detected some producer questions near Jakku. Report to your DLWeekly vessels and make the jump to hyperspace. The 7-7 Squadron will provide support during your trivia mission. Good luck, and may the Force be with you.
Welcome to Trivia Land. Fresh back from being in the parks, how do you feel? You've got your heads all full of knowledge and ready to go?
We'll see.
I mean, maybe.
Our hearts are full, definitely.
Yes.
Well, that's a start. Well, let's get started with some listener-submitted questions. Your first listener-submitted question today from listener Tim J. On the Alice in Wonderland ride, what is written over the entrance to the Queen of Hearts courtroom?
Well, this is the one attraction I did not ride this time, but you and Vern did, so good luck.
I don't remember because I always look at, I'm always looking at not that. This is terrible. I don't even know if I realized that there was something up there.
Where is this, Vern?
So it's
as you've gone through the croquet area,
yeah. So
and
she's
you
playing
come
croquet.
around the corner and you're going into the courtroom.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like to double check questions before I ask them because I like to make sure that I'm giving accurate answers and that I'm asking questions that I can be sure of. And I watched probably half a dozen YouTube videos of the ride, making sure that this question was right. And I could never actually find the answer. Then when we rode the ride on our most recent trip, I was watching diligently and I found the answer. It is there.
Huh. That was the one you were talking to James about?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think
James knew exactly what I was talking about, and he knew that he also couldn't find it in a YouTube video, so he was very happy that I was able to find it.
Yeah, my problem is I don't look up at that. Like, I don't look up before that scene, and I don't look up during that scene. Are you ready for this one?
I didn't even know there was a sign there.
No, I know. I didn't either. So.
The only place I know that there are signs is in the this way, that way, whatever, and that's it.
Yeah. Stumped.
I can give you a hint. It's not even so much a sign as a slogan.
A slogan?
Like sometimes you're walking into a ballroom or something and there's a slogan of what that ballroom represents. But this is a courtroom.
Well, I know she screams off with her head. I don't think that would be on the banner above the courtroom, though. She's the Queen of Hearts.
I remember him saying this, the king.
Rule 42 or something.
No, just Her Majesty the Queen of Hearts.
Yeah.
So maybe like it's going to be like the Honorable so-and-so kind of thing. So I will say Her Majesty the Queen of Hearts, but I don't think it's right.
Stumped.
Well,
so Her Majesty the Queen of Hearts and stumped. Are those your final answers?
Yes.
All right.
Maybe you need to rub your Club 33 on your jacket.
For good luck, yeah.
Your second listener-submitted question from listener Stacia S. What are the names of Donald Duck's parents?
Oh, my goodness.
What is with all these Donald Duck questions?
These are stumpers, too.
Because there's been Donald Duck questions.
I do not know what Donald Duck's parents' names are. Huey, Dewey, and Louie are the nephews.
That's all I know, too.
I don't remember what the nieces are, what their names are. I don't know. I'm stumped on this one, too. This is... Whew. My brain's still in Disneyland, apparently.
I don't know.
Nothing? All right, so nothing and stumped. Final answers?
I think so.
All right.
Whew, good questions, listeners.
Your third listener-submitted question from listener Michelle M. What attraction is in both Disneyland and in the Magic Kingdom Disney World, but is spelled differently in each park?
Is spelled differently?
It's an attraction?
It's an attraction found in both parks.
Spelled differently.
But spelled differently.
It's in Disneyland proper?
Yes.
Okay. The Magic
Not
Kingdom.
DCA, but actual Disneyland.
Okay, so these are my two thoughts.
Specifically, I believe it's in Tomorrowland.
Okay, I have no thoughts anymore. Because I was going to say, it's a small world capitalized in world and not capitalized in land. And then I was also wondering about King Arthur's Carousel.
Well, if it's in Tomorrowland, there's only so many things in the Tomorrowland in Disney World. There's Buzz, but it's a different name. Yeah. There's the People Mover, which doesn't exist anymore. There's a Carousel of Progress that doesn't exist anymore. Their Star Tours is in MGM Studios.
Oh, you're right.
Space Mountain, but it's spelled the same.
I don't know how else you could spell Space
There's
Mountain.
the Tomorrowland Speedway versus the Autopia.
Yeah, nope.
And that's all I know of that's there.
It's got to be Buzz.
And then there's Laugh Floor, but that's also not at Disneyland.
Do they have an Astro Orbiter? No.
Oh, but it's not spelled different because one's the Astro Orbiter and one's the Rocket Jets. What's the stink face?
Now I'm wondering if
there's no monorail.
Double verifying.
Okay, he's double verifying.
You said in Tomorrowland.
Is our hint wrong?
I am standing by calling it part of Tomorrowland.
Oh boy.
I feel like I'm just missing something. Terry, you said the Magic Kingdom. So it's not Hollywood Studios, it's not Animal Kingdom, which is where Everest is. And he said spelled different, so I assume it's going to be the same name spelled different. Because I was thinking like the Fantasyland Theater. Is it like ER instead of RE?
Yep. Same thing I was wondering.
Or the Tomorrowland Terrace.
Is that in both?
I don't know.
Is it an attraction?
It's an attraction.
Like a ride? Or is it a show?
It's a ride.
Okay.
I'm confused by this question. Your hints are making it more confusing. Because I thought I was going down the right road, but I was in Fantasyland.
I don't know. This is really a terrible week.
I look at this week as a learning opportunity.
You always have the positive way about all these things. I don't know. I give up.
All
I
right,
give up.
So Teg gives up, and Teresa, anything?
3 for 3 on my question marks.
All right. Your fourth listener-submitted question from listener Stephanie S. What are Mickey Mouse's nephews' names?
Oh,
Mickey's?
Yes,
Mickey has nephews?
Mickey has nephews.
I was like, Huey, Dewey, Lou. Oh, wait a minute.
And
Oh, poor Teresa.
I don't know.
Mickey has nephews?
He does, because have you watched
Mickey's Christmas Carol?
Mickey's Christmas Carol? They're in there.
I have no idea.
I don't know either.
What a great learning opportunity.
And it's in their version of...
Christmas Carol. Mickey's Christmas.
Yeah. It's also Mickey's Christmas Carol. One of them is a Mickey's Christmas Carol.
Jeez.
As Tiny Tim.
Okay, so stumped and stumped. Final
Oh my
answers?
goodness. Failures is...
Tracy, you haven't given a single guess
No.
tonight.
No. I thought I had a guess for that last one until we had a hint.
Okay.
This
And
is
your
awful.
bonus question tonight, which I finally got to see this with my own eyes. It was very exciting to go check out Coke Corner after all of the listener-submitted questions from Tara F., which I have been thoroughly enjoying looking up the answers to these and asking these questions, and then I spent a good 5 minutes standing in Coke Corner and looking at all of the Coke bottles and learning more about these questions and where they came from, and I have seen this bottle with my own eyes, the oldest bottle on display in
no.
Coke Corner. What was the first bottle to be used by the Coca-Cola Company?
What do you mean? I don't understand.
What was the first bottle to be used by the Coca-Cola Company? And it is on display at Coke Corner. I will take either the proper name of the bottle or a very good description of it.
Well, the only one I remember, because I looked at this display, the only one that I committed to memory that I read anything about was the one that was gold.
There was a gold one, yeah.
And it was like
But
flaking.
there was one that was like, was it like a balloon shaped or something? It was much more round than the traditional Coke bottle, like what we think of as the classic Coke bottle now. But I don't remember what it was called. But it was more like balloon shaped. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Okay.
I know exactly which one you're thinking of.
Okay.
So those are your answers, the gold one or the balloon-shaped one?
Yeah, I know it's not the gold one, but...
All right. Gold one or the balloon one? Well, listeners, how do you think they did? How did you do listening at home? Stick around until after the discussion topic, and we'll all find out together.
Well, this week for our discussion topic, we are talking about two different topics, and one of these topics we actually come live from the park with, so you'll have some cool...
We got to record in the park.
Yes, which will be wonderful. The other is our Disneyana event that we went to, which this is our second Disneyana event that we've gone to, and got to be part of their whole event and their show and sale. So what was the Disneyana event?
The Disneyana event is easily... it's so fun. So this time around, the setup for the day, the schedule for the day was a little bit different. So the event did not start until, I believe it was 12:30 that we could start checking in with the event starting at 1. But the first, and then there was an hour break for them to reset the room after the presentations before we then went into the awards dinner. The first person, though, that we got to listen to, and who also brought all sorts of amazing things for us to look at, was Matt McKim. Matt McKim is a former Disney Imagineer, and he's also the son of Sam McKim, which that name may or may not sound familiar to you, but Sam McKim was the Imagineer who his big, thing that everybody knows and loves, and I'm looking at right now, is the Disneyland maps, those beautifully illustrated Disneyland maps. Sam McKim was the one that created those for the parks.
Yeah.
Originally.
And these are one of my favorite souvenirs that they don't really offer in the parks anymore, but Matt was able to explain to us that he created these maps. He updated them over the years. They talked about how he updated them, that basically he would draw the new thing and like glue it on top of the old park map, because the park maps were so labor intensive to do. And the last, so he did one for Disneyland Paris when it was Euro Disneyland, when it first opened. And the last one he did for Disneyland was, what was it? It was, because he was talking about that he had done it in like was it when Indy was added, I think? And then he didn't do any more after that. So, but he's the one responsible for those gorgeous maps that they used to sell all the time that you've probably seen pictures of or whatever at some point.
Another thing that you may have seen is Sam has a window on Main Street. He's the Disneyland cartographer.
Oh, yes.
Honestly, his window is gorgeous. It's very, very beautiful. But yes, illustrator of many of the Disneyland souvenir maps. And then Matt actually worked with models and did design elements and some sculpting work on different attractions and different places around, I think most all of the different parks, which is very, very cool.
Because his big thing was like rocks, right?
So, yeah, he worked on some like rock work and stuff like that. He was talking to us about specifically rock work that he worked on in Toontown,
which was a great story,
and rock work that he worked on in Paris, and yeah, all sorts of really great stories. So, but the cool thing was Matt brought some of the things that his father had held on to from his days in Imagineering, working at the parks, working with Walt. And so he brought some things like there was a script from Lincoln, the Abraham Lincoln script.
Sure.
And in the margins, there were little sketches on the different poses Lincoln would be doing. There were sketches and mock-ups of things. What was it? The walk-through Pirates and the walk-through Haunted Mansion versions. There was different sketches of some of that stuff. There were different sketches of different like ornamental things that could go on buildings. So like maybe like the address, the number address plates, different little embellishments like that.
So the dad did those things, and then the son actually was responsible for, apparently it was a internet controversy.
It has been. I knew he was saying that, and I had seen all of the different rumors as to what this one specific date meant.
Because it's this like kind of, how would you describe it?
There's an archway along the rivers of America near where the Pelican Landing area is now. It's this archway with these very old looking bricks. So it looks like it was, I don't know, some sort of tunnel that's been bricked up. And Matt actually was the sculptor that did that. And he had a funny story. We hope to have Matt on someday to talk with us about all of his things that he did for the company and all the fun things. So I think we'll maybe save the story for when we have Matt on. But he shared a really fun story about this little archway that he created and the kind of internet rumor mill that it sparked.
Yes. It's fun how like a little detail can really just spark such a crazy amount of that type of stuff. So, but yes, he does have a book coming out, and he did say that he would be happy to be on our show. So he's probably going to be a future guest for us down the road when he gets all of these things from his dad together. He was saying that Imagineering and the archives needed to scan it and get digital copies of all these things, and they're working through to try to get this. So that is coming in the future. So the next person that we kind of had a discussion with was the second Disneyland ambassador, Connie Swanson Lane, who she also had some really, really amazing stories.
Yes.
You could tell in her stories that she really liked Walt Disney, and she had like fond memories of working around him.
Yes.
And she talked about, the day that Walt passed and how upset she was and stuff about it. So you could tell that those memories and those experiences for her were very special. And it was really neat to kind of hear, that Walt kind of, some stories of her and Walt of teaching her how to do some ambassador things and deal with a lot of things.
So, stuff like the proper way to pose for a photo and different things like that. Some of the cool things that Connie got to do when she was the Disneyland. So at that time they called it Miss Disneyland. So the Disneyland, it wasn't called the Disneyland Ambassador, it was Miss Disneyland. But during her time, she got to do help Walt open It's a Small World and Pirates of the Caribbean. Plus, she got to visit many different countries in South America and Europe. But yeah, she also got to visit a lot of hospitals with Disney characters to bring joy to the children in the hospitals, which I think she said that was probably her favorite thing, or her favorite memory.
She had a fun story about It's a Small World.
Yeah.
She had a fun story about just Walt talking her through things. We hope to have her on the podcast in the near future.
After Connie, we then got to hear an interview with one of the honorees for that evening, Willie Ito. Very, very fun guy. He was an animator and a cartoonist, and worked for 60 years at 4 major studios. However, Willie's story was really, really interesting, and I thought it was really special that he shared this with us. But his story actually kind of started not in the happiest of places. Willie is a Japanese American, and he grew up in San Francisco. So unfortunately, he was a young boy and spent a couple of years during World War II in a Japanese internment camp in Utah. But during that time, one of the things that did bring him joy in that not so great period was to doodle on anything he could find. So he was sharing all sorts of memories and stories from his childhood with us, and what life was like for him when he was a boy. I want to say he said he was 8 years old when he started his internment.
So in 1954, he started working with Walt at the studios in the lady unit. And one of the funny stories he had about this was he thought that it was the department for painting because all the women used to do all the painting. So he thought the lady unit, like female, not lady like Lady and the Tramp, which is actually what he ended up working on. And he worked as an apprentice in-betweener on the iconic spaghetti scene, which I think anybody who knows anything about Lady and the Tramp, that is like the scene in that movie.
Yes.
He worked over at Warner Brothers on some other animated features or some animation, and then also worked for Hanna-Barbera for a number of years and worked on shows like The Flintstones and Yogi Bear, and then returned to Disney to do comic strip stuff for them, and then Disney consumer products.
And then at that point, we took a break. It was just an hour-long break for them to reset the room for dinner. We did go over and just kind of hang out in the bar area. We got to see some friends, make some new friends. We also got to hang out. Terry Hardin was there just as a guest to enjoy all the different presentations and to be a part of the ceremony at the end and be there to support her fellow Disney Legend honorees.
Because if you guys remember, she was made a Disneyana Fan Club Disney Legend honoree last year.
Yep, she was. So then after dinner, they did what they do during the dinner is they have little interviews with each of the honorees. So Willie got up and spoke and shared some other different stories. Another animator, Jane Shattuck Takamoto Bear, was also recognized, and she began her animation career in 1955 as an assistant animator on Sleeping Beauty. So she got to work alongside the legendary 9 old men of Walt Disney Animation. I mean, come on, how amazing is that? She got to work on all sorts of different things, like she was the animator on the villain Medusa, which was in the film The Rescuers. She also worked on Fox and the Hound, Mickey's Christmas Carol, and The Black Cauldron. So
she's worked on a lot of cool stuff for Disney.
Did.
Afterwards, or later on, they talked to Disney Legend honorees Kevin Kidney and Jody Daly, known as Kevin and Jody, who do a lot of work for Disney in the consumer products. They talked about how they had worked as a Jungle Cruise. Well, Kevin had worked as a Jungle Cruise skipper and joined the Disneyland art department. And Kevin helped design elements of parade floats for the 35th anniversary and one of my favorite parades from Disneyland history, the Party Gras Parade, and also worked on Fantasmic, which... If you don't follow them on Instagram, I would highly recommend following them on Instagram because they have some cool stuff up there. Like when the stuff happened with Murphy, they had some stuff that they showed from back in the day of the stuff they worked on with Fantasmic. Mm-hmm.
So they've designed all sorts of different stuff, but more recently, they're well known now for all of the different art and special high-end merchandise that you can purchase at Disney. In fact, they've done recently a castle for Paris, like a sculpture, a figurine for the castle, the Paris castle. Also, when we were there, I saw for sale one of their button-up shirts. It's Mr. Toad theme button-up shirt, Mr. Toad theme print. But they have all sorts of Disney collectibles and that sort of stuff. They do have their own independent company now. However, they do get to still create all of this really cool merchandise that all of us fans get to enjoy. Yes, very, very cool. I like their style too. I really do like their style. So it's a little bit different. It's not like your classic. It's your classic Disney character, but just a little different.
Another honoree that was part of Disneyana was Mindy Johnson, who is currently working on a documentary and a book, I think.
Oh my goodness, she's working on a ton of different things.
She's a very busy person, but she is working on basically finding and seeing all the history of women who were animators and basically working in the Hollywood and movies and stuff like that have kind of been overshadowed over the years. So she's working on a documentary and a book about that. The Women of Imagineering, I think, was
one of her books that I've actually been really interested in picking up and reading is Ink and Paint, The Women of Walt Disney's Animation.
That's what it was.
Looks like a really fascinating book. And she was telling us that the book, like the volumes of information and stories and things she learned with all of her research, the book is only like a small fraction of what all she learned. She said it was just so many different layers and so many different stories. And it was just so interesting. So that made me even more excited to pick up this book and read it. I just think the Ink and Paint has always just been fascinating to me. I don't remember. I think I talked about this on the podcast, but I got really excited because on the cruise, I saw in the app that there was like an ink and paint demo, and you could ink and paint your own animation cell. And I was like, oh my gosh, how amazing. How amazing would that be? Well, it was only for kids. So spoiler alert, I did not get to do that. But I don't know. I've always had this fascination with it.
Yeah.
Also, tons of other books that she's done as well. Some books, I think, with Mark Davis. And yeah, just a lot of really cool research. So she's a Disney historian, 100%, but just really amazing. Yeah,
and she's going through and doing just a ton of work on trying to discover and preserve a lot of these things that could be lost to history. And it's really great that somebody's doing a lot of this type of stuff. Is really helpful when you have a focus, because then you go really deep on one thing, and that's what she's doing here with women in all of these different industries. So she was great to talk to. We're also hoping to have her on in the future when her next book gets done.
Fingers and toes crossed.
Let's just put it out there. Every time we go to one of these events, we want to have everybody from it on. So that's fingers crossed.
The thing that's so amazing about these events is the people that are there. Like, so not just the people presenting and the honorees, amazing, incredible individuals. But while we were there, total pinch me moment. We're sitting in this room. There's probably 150 people, maybe
200, maybe at the most. Yeah,
maybe in this room. And during the presentations, there's even less people. I don't know why not everyone goes to presentations, because they're so incredible. I love the presentations in the beginning, the first half of the day. But I go to use we have a break. I step out of the room to use the restroom. I walk in, and who do I see? My floor. I had to pick my jaw up from off the floor, because there's none other than Floyd Norman, Disney legend Floyd Norman,
and his wife
are there, and they were there to support their friend Willie, and I just thought that was so incredible. So we were sitting behind Margaret Carey during the presentations, who was, of course, the model for Tinkerbell. She was the model for the animated Tinkerbell. So they kind of had her come into the studio, and she did all the different poses, and so Tinkerbell is modeled after her. But yeah, Becky Cline also came to the dinner portion of the show. We didn't have a chance to go talk with her. Of course, she's a very popular lady. And then also, his name's escaping me right now, but the head of the D23 fan club was also present at this. Plus other big Disney people. Just incredible. It's such a small, intimate thing that it doesn't feel like you can go up and have conversations with these people if you're feeling brave enough to do so. That's always my thing. I'm always like, what am I gonna? I want to say hi and like say something, but I don't know. I don't always know how to start that conversation. So, but we did ask Floyd if we could get a quick photo with him, and he was very kind. And so we got a photo with Floyd. We spoke with Matt McKim for quite a while. He was a really fun, interesting guy. We really hope it works out and timing works well that we can have him on to share some of his stories. Got a photo with him, got a photo with Willie, of course. But yeah, just tons and tons of fun. You just never know who to expect or who you're going to see at these events. So it's just really, really cool. And not to be outdone, the following day was the Disneyana show and sale, which is like almost like D23-esque as far as there's all sorts of vendors, there's meet and greets and that sort of stuff, but just not as chaotic.
No, not nearly
not as chaotic, not as large.
And what I like seeing at the show and sale is there's a ton of Disney history that is there. So there's a lot of vendors that have, original creations. We saw there was a booth that I almost bought one of, which I don't know how I would have got it home, but
it was
they were
so
doing
cool.
3D models of the parks or sections of the parks or attractions that you could like hang on your wall.
Yeah, so think like a Google Maps view of the park. That was the 3D.
But in 3D.
Yep, that was the 3D model.
And you could get it not painted or painted, which is so cool. Mm-hmm. There was people there that made, I bought some luggage tags from somebody. There were people there that made just all types of, there was a group that made, they took droids that you'd buy in the park and they'd like paint them. And you could get all these different modifications for them and everything. It was amazing.
These groups were incredible. The Galaxy's Edge Explorers. And they had different, like, subgroups. There was, like, I want to say it was the Droidsmith Union was one of them. The 501st Legion.
By the way, the 3D printed whatever were Nanoscapes was the name of that company.
So cool. So cool.
Yeah, custom droid art designs. You can follow them at Reactive1401 on Instagram.
But so not only did they have custom painted droids, they also made
collectible
different
cards.
Yeah, so instead of business cards, they made like trading cards, which were so cool and so creative. But they also did stuff. The one guy was showing, I don't remember what he called it now. It was this little computer thing that he made that somehow you could you could turn on to find other droids. So if you're at the parks and want to meet up with other people that have droids, this thing would tell you where other droids were. It somehow would have your droid, because your droid will do different things in Galaxy's Edge depending on where you are. So like if you're in the cantina, it'll react, like the droid has like reacts a certain way. He somehow was able with this little computer thing he created, and mind you, it was smaller than a business card, this little thing, so you could like mount it on your wrist or whatever.
Yep.
But it then would make the droid interact because it would think that it was at the cantina and do whatever that special.
Yeah, so all these
just super cool.
All these things like the magic bands when you're doing the bounty hunter game and Galaxy's Edge, all those things are working using NFC or near field communication stuff. So his little transmitter, basically, he had figured out what all the NFC commands were for that, and so he could make them react to those different things. It was really neat. But and some of these guys did some mods.
It looked like that we saw someone that was there that had purchased one and had it as part of their outfit. It looked like it didn't look like it was a separate accessory that you put. It wasn't this big bulky thing.
No.
It was the coolest thing. There was also someone there that did different costuming things, but he also created different ways that you could wear your droid. So he made like this, I don't know, this shoulder, so you could wear have your droid sit on your shoulder.
Wear BD1 on your shoulder.
Yep, or like clip to your bag in a different way. Just very, very, very creative, very, very talented group. If you ever see, they hang out at they hang out in Star Wars Galaxy's Edge frequently, but very, very, very cool. We'll link their info in the show notes for that as well. And then it's one person that I met that I had to buy art from because his work reminded me so much of stuff that you would find in Wonderground. I really enjoyed his style of artwork, and I loved his character and attraction scene choices, and I bought a print, and I bought multiple postcards from him too. His information is creative D2R. Well, again, we'll have that linked in the show notes for you if you want to go check out his stuff. Very fun, very creative, and very reasonably priced. But I'm really excited. I got a jungle cruise themed print for Vern that he was very excited about. And I was even more excited that I packed it so well in my luggage that I did not get a single wrinkle in any of it. So very, very cool. The last group that we met that was really cool and just fans was called Avengers Initiative. They had really amazing cosplay. Of course, they're all in Avengers gear. We had Wanda, we had Doctor Strange, we had all sorts of different people dressed up. But their thing was they were a volunteer group that would go to hospitals and try and bring some joy to children and people and different people in hospitals through the characters and through their outfits. And I thought that was such a cool, really special thing to do. And their focus again was on Avenger cosplay specifically.
They did a good job. All
Very
of their
good.
stuff, like the guy who played Hawkeye,
He
looked like Hawkeye.
Like Jeremy, is it Renner?
Jeremy Renner, yeah.
He looked like Jeremy Renner. Like double take, looked looked very, very good. Very, very fun. Trying to think who else. Of course, Terry Hardin was there again, so we had to stop by her booth. She was selling all sorts of her different artwork. Rick Law was there. He is a former Disney animator as well. He worked on a bunch of the different poster art or like the cover art for different films.
Animated
so like
movies.
I think The Black Cauldron was one of them. Mickey's Christmas Carol was another. Plus he does a lot of original stuff. If you've ever watched any of our live streams, I have one of his pieces behind us. He had this really beautiful sketch of Walt's Barn that I bought a print of when we met him last year when we went to Disneyana, and it's right in the middle of our set.
He remembered us because he had signed one incorrectly, and he's like, "You guys are the ones that I signed the wrong thing." He
remembered us, but yeah, super cool individual as well. But just I think there was over 70 different vendors. We talked for a long time with this booth that they had. We had to like sit and look at their stuff because they had tons of old ticket booths, ticket books, and all sorts of different Disney dollars, lots of Disney dollars. Very cool, very knowledgeable people as well. So it was really, really fun.
I love looking at the ticket books.
I purchased some artwork and a pin. I think you may have.
I purchased the luggage tags. That's it.
Oh, yeah, that's it. You purchased the tags. Last year, we purchased all sorts of books because there was tons of authors that were there.
I really wanted, but steered myself away. I really wanted one of the ticket books, but the one I would have wanted would have been almost $400. And
because wasn't it a full ticket book?
It was a full ticket book.
It was a full ticket book.
That guy had cards that had not been used for like D23 members used to get, or not
Club
D23,
30.
Club 33 members used to get these cards.
Like a plastic
They
card.
would have their name embossed on them or whatever, and he had ones that had not been embossed.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
He had full ticket books. He was telling us that they had a promo back when they got rid of ticket books that they would give you money back for unused tickets, so they would hit void, and instead of throwing them away, somebody must have taken them.
Yeah,
so he had all these books.
So Disney would void them, and then they were supposed to destroy them. However, a couple fell into somebody's pocket, apparently, and he somehow had acquired. So he had such rare pieces of Disneyland history. It was just really fascinating. They were very, very knowledgeable, which is also super cool that they took the time to chat with us and kind of share some of that information and knowledge with us.
Yeah. So one of the things that's great about the Disneyana event is that they are not hugely attended necessarily, which makes them more intimate than something like a D23, which is just chaos. However, after listening to the show, you should definitely, the next one's in October?
The next one is in October. Let me pull up the calendar real quick to get the dates right. It's the weekend of October 7th and 8th is the next
And who are they
dinner
scheduled to honor?
and next show and sale. I don't know if that's public knowledge yet. But it's a big one. They teased us. I don't know if we're allowed to share it yet. So make sure a big one. Make sure one that like I marked the calendar. I'm like, we're going to figure out we're making this happen. Even if it's going to be like a quick in and out weekend trip, we need to be there. But yeah, so make sure you follow Disneyana on their social media pages. And also we'll have a link in the show notes, of course, for their website as well to get you in the right place for their website.
Yeah.
Super worthwhile. If you are a fan of the history and this, you know, the behind the scenes and kind of what goes into making the parks and making the movies, that, you know, that side of things, this is definitely an event for you to attend.
We are coming to you live from Galaxy's Edge. We're hanging out by the Millennium.
Galaxy's Edge.
Yes, Teresa. We are hanging out by the Millennium Falcon. So that's, we thought it would be a good ambiance for the discussion.
It's a fun little corner. The last time that I was over in this corner was when Smuggler's Run, when we first did Smuggler's Run, and the queue was crazy and it extended out and down here. So this is the last time I've been over here. So
it's one of the few calm corners of Galaxy's Edge.
It is a calm corner.
Now, the day of the Star Wars Night event, we actually came back here quite a few times. James and I did, and it was crazy busy back here all day. There was a line for Dok Ondars that went to the staircase and then down by Ronto Roasters, like halfway to Rise, it felt like, all day. So it was very busy because they had a Cal Kestis lightsaber thing and people were trying to buy costumes and lightsabers for the event that night.
Well, and the other thing too is over in Tomorrowland, Star Traders was crazy too because there was a bunch of new release merch, yes, for Star Wars Day, May the 4th, but also they had a ton of new releases, including stuff for Return of the Jedi's 40th anniversary.
Yeah, so Teresa warned us about that, and we went over there, and yes, it was...
Like, it was a wall of people.
Star Traders kind of busy anyway, because you got all the exit to Star Tours, then you got all the other people trying to go in. So, pro tip for some folks, at least on the day that we were here, which was May the 4th for the Star Wars night, that they do give out credentials if you're in the park before the beginning of the party. You can get your credentials in the Starcade, and we were able to do that at about 3:30 in the afternoon, and there was no line. It was wonderful. You just go over, you get your badge, you get your wristband, you get your park map. So if you were in the park early, that is the best time to do that because I assume it got a little bit busier later on. If you were coming just for the party, you get that stuff at the front gate, so you don't have to worry about picking it up in Tomorrowland. But I'll tell you, there were so many people during the day that were dressed up for May the 4th.
Yes.
That weren't even going to the Star Wars Night event. We were surprised because we were thinking all of them were going to the Star Wars Night event, but one of the first things we did was we saw some character interactions up in Town Square, and while we were waiting in line for all that to start, a lot of people were exiting, and a lot of these people were people that were dressed up, so that was kind of a happy surprise.
It was pretty cool. So if you've never been...
You were worried about sound over here. There is plenty of Star Wars sound.
If you've never been, I would highly recommend coming on May the 4th. I will kind of start off by saying maybe don't do Star Wars night on May the 4th. I don't know if it was just us, if the Force wasn't with us, or what. But the park was really fun because like everybody was wearing Star Wars stuff. Some people were like really, really more costumed up.
Some
obviously
amazing costumes.
Not full costumes during the day, but like some really good like outfits and stuff that they put together. But yeah, it was a different feel in the park. Anywhere you went, you had like great conversations in line. Like we were standing in line for random attractions talking about Star Wars stuff with people. So it was really fun. But on to the party. So like Tag said, we were able to pick up our credentials. That was earlier than I thought. I saw people wearing credentials and I thought that they were wearing their credentials from like
the previous party.
Yeah, because there was a party on May 2nd and then also May 4th. So I'm like, well, they must have gone on the 2nd because it's way too early to be picking up your credentials. Oh no, it was just you can pick them up that early. So that was nice to kind of get that out of the way. We then kind of grouped and tried to figure out what our priorities were because with after hours events, it's a limited time. We know you can't do everything, so we were trying to figure out what our priorities were. I think James's priority was Queen Amidala.
Yep.
Vern's was meeting Ezra and Sabine, and then I really wanted to meet the Ewoks just because they're cute. And K2SO, right?
Yes, K2SO was my priority.
Yep. So we all kind of figured out our priorities. We knew Queen Amidala was going to probably be the character because this is the first time that she was out in the parks, making her park debut, and Anakin was with her too. So
brooding around.
He was. Can we? Okay, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but whoever that person was did a very good job. We very much enjoyed watching Anakin.
Defend Padme.
Yeah, defend Padme. That's a good way of saying it. But yeah, very, very good.
So the characters that we saw, we're just going to lump all the characters together here. So we saw Captain Rex, which was really cool. We saw Ezra and Sabine. We saw Chopper. We saw Padme and Anakin. We saw... who else did we see? We saw K2SO.
Vern got to meet one of the Nite sisters.
You got to get pictures with the Ewoks. Zam Wessel.
Vern and I walked past her in Adventureland, and she was just kind of roaming, and we just thought it was a guest that had a really good costume. And then I noticed the Disneyland cast member that was with her not in costume. I was like, oh wait, that's right, Zam was here. And so Vern got to meet her. I was BB-8. Did you say Chopper already?
I said Chopper.
Yeah. So there's a lot of different characters out.
We saw Captain Phasma and some First Order troopers in Tomorrowland.
Yep.
They didn't do the march. It was sprinkling the night we were here. They did seem to have some, issues with that because for us being in the Midwest, it wasn't a lot of rain. It was kind of sprinkling, but apparently there were some safety issues, so some of those things kind of got changed.
The thing. So we'll start with the not so great stuff. So the thing that was a little frustrating to us, a couple things that were frustrating, was it was organized but also not organized. So Padme, they knew she was going to be popular. Queen Amidala knew she was going to be popular, so we lined up ahead of time, and we ended up having to get a wristband for a return time. Well, we waited an hour and a half before the party started to get the wristband.
Yeah, the
wristbands were all gone before party time started, and really gone an hour before party time started. I want to say we got in line, and then they started giving wristbands out about 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I want to say by 7:30 or something, there was 7:30, 8 o'clock, there was no more wristband. They were done with, they'd gone through all the wristbands.
Which sounded great because getting a wristband, you're not wasting party time standing in line.
So we thought.
But the idea was there that we were this is going to be really great because we don't have to waste a ton of time here.
Yep.
So our return time was what?
We could start lining up as early as 9:45 to 11. So 10 to 11 was the official start time, which we thought was great because the fireworks were at 9:30. So we're perfect. We'll watch the fireworks. We'll go over to see Padme. No problem. So we decided then to head back down to Main Street because that's where Vern's two characters were that he really wanted to meet. They were meeting together. But as we were standing there, it wasn't set up. So we started lining up for that early too because we wanted to try and check, right? We were trying to be efficient, check it off. So we were in one line, and then suddenly it split to two lines, and it was, do you want to meet Captain Rex? Go to this line. If you want to meet Ezra and Sabine, go to that line. Okay, cool. We're organized, right? Well, then we realized they brought out one backdrop. So it was all the characters were meeting in the same spot, but when you asked, none of the cast members seemed to know which character was coming out first.
Right.
And they had divided the line, so we're well, they've got to both be coming out, right? Why would you have divided the line if it's just really one meet and greet? Well, it was really just one meet and greet.
Captain Rex came out first, and Captain Rex came out about 20 minutes after the start of the party, which was a lot.
Not great. Because, the party's only really 4 hours. So a character being 20 minutes late is, a huge, not helpful thing.
No.
But, we had heard that Queen Amidala actually came out early for her meet and greet. So our timing was not good.
We left the line because the fireworks were going to start.
Yep.
We didn't want to miss the fireworks, which the fireworks were good.
And Vern and I had ordered food, so we wanted to go make sure we got to eat our food while it was still warm. So we went, watched the fireworks. What did you think of the fireworks?
I thought they were great. Star Wars music lends itself to fireworks very, very well. Not a terribly long show, maybe 7 or 8 minutes long, but really good. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. They had some projections and stuff. Mm-hmm. The castle was more lit up more than projected.
Yeah.
But, Main Street throughout the whole party had, a star field, and at times it would go to hyperspace, which was kind of a neat effect. There was a DJ in town, in the hub, that was rocking beats all night, which was kind of cool.
So then after the fireworks, we decided, okay, we're going to run back down to Main Street, because surely Ezra and Sabine are out now. It's been plenty of time. So we get back in the line. We realize, so just for context, Vern was second in the Ezra and Sabine line. And when we got up there, we were halfway back through the line. And we looked up and we realized the person that was in front of us, so the person that was in slot number 1 to meet Ezra and Sabine, was still there. And we're like, what? And then all of a sudden...
This was like 9:45.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden a cast member comes out and says, well, Captain Rex has about 35 minutes left of his set. So what had happened was he was late. He wasn't able to meet and greet during the fireworks, so they paused. So then he continued his thing. So it was a very not good start to the party. There was some frustration. Thankfully, though, the seventh sister was out a lot. She was out like constantly, it seemed like. She was doing a really good job of getting through the line. But I think because she was there, so you didn't have the standing and waiting for them to come back part. So Vern ran over while we held our spot in line for Ezra and Sabine. He went over, got his photo with the seventh sister. We still waited a little longer. Finally, it was our turn. We got to see him. The other weird thing, too, I thought, was Captain Rex would, leave, and then 5 to 10 minutes later is when the new character... It wasn't like they switched off immediately or, slacked in or what. No, there was still a pause in between that. So, to me, that was not very efficient, and it kind of was not a great start to our night, in all honesty.
The efficient thing that I will say... By the way, we're sitting here and R2-D2 just came out.
Chewbacca's behind you.
And Chewbacca is literally behind me while we're sitting here.
Hi, R2!
Well, this suddenly became a...
This is the spot. This is so cool. So then after we met Ezra and Sabine, we then went back because it was our return time for Queen Amidala.
Wait. I wanted to say, the one thing that was really nice about Rex, anyway... was they were pretty efficient. They gave, and this was kind of par for the course for all the photo ops for the night, was 3 photos. If you're in a group, it's a group photo only. There's no individual mix and match. And they would take your 3 photos. They would take a photo with your phone if you wanted, and then scan your wristband and on to the next person, which I thought was pretty good. And Ray. We got Chewie, Ray, and R2 here.
Yeah. We've got quite the spot here. Front row seats, accidental front row seats. But back to the party. So then we went over to Queen Amidala. This, I felt, was also a disappointment. We were feeling pretty good about our wristbands. Well,
yes.
The Queen was very, very generous with her time, with all of the people that came to meet her. So, while yes, it was still like a 3-photo thing, there was lots of chit-chat and conversation. So, we ended up waiting probably another hour and a half to get through that line, which in the first two or so official hours the first 2.5 hours of the official party, we had only gotten through 2 character meet and greets. So at that point we realized, okay, we thought only picking 4 things was pretty safe. Nope, wrong, not safe. So then we did have to divide because you wanted to meet K2SO, which K2SO is a photo op, and then I really wanted to go meet the Ewok. So we divided because we realized, okay, there's no way we're going to be able to do all of this. We did try to meet Chopper as a group, but while we were in line for Chopper, it was time for his, droid break.
Recharging or oil bath, I think is what she said.
Go. Yeah, it was time for his oil bath. So we just got a video of Chopper. He did come right in front of us to go off to take his break. That was the other thing, too. Padme...
took 2 breaks in the line.
I keep saying Padme. Queen Amidala.
Took 2 breaks in the time we were in the line.
Yeah, took 2 breaks on the time we were in the line. The second one stung because we were literally the second group. There was one guy in front of us, and then she went on break for the second time. We're like, no. And then when she went on break, or when she went to take a rest, we were then told that Anakin was on a secret special mission, so he may or may not be returning with her. So we got to see Anakin in line, but we did not get to take photos with him, so that was kind of not great either. But yeah, overall, Star Wars Night is no Oogie Boogie Bash.
No. Oogie Boogie Bash was way more organized. There was more flow with things. Yeah. It was so much better than Star Wars Night. I think Teresa and I both felt really bad for Vern and James because they were so excited for this night.
And this was their first ever any after party experience. They've not experienced Oogie Boogie Bash. So what they've heard and what we've experienced is Oogie Boogie Bash. Super efficient. You can get everything done. As long as you're hoofing it, you can get it all done. But not this. The other thing that was kind of a bummer too was because it was a little drizzly, and it wasn't, I'm going to say this, we didn't feel the need to even have our hoods up. It was like a mist.
It was a sprinkle.
They canceled, the Cantina band got canceled. I was a little frustrated with that because the Cantina Band was on top of the Golden Horseshoe on that balcony there. And so my thought would have been that I assumed that there would have been a plan B, and they would maybe just put them inside the Golden Horseshoe so they could continue on their... No, they didn't do that. Same thing with March of the First Order. They canceled it, and the characters that were supposed to be in it were kind of just up on balconies looking down, so you had to like zoom in if you wanted to take a picture of them. So a lot of things did get canceled because of the weather, and I guess I was surprised and also disappointed that there wasn't some sort of like plan B. Because even when we were waiting back to Ezra and Sabine were kind of a sore spot. They were a little bit of a... Well, both them and Queen Amidala were just kind of a little just rough. But while we were waiting in line for Ezra and Sabine, we were told, oh, well, if it starts raining, if the mist gets any heavier, they're not coming out. We're like, what? We've been waiting here for how long? Yeah. So, and again, that photo op was just outside of the fire station. So we were kind of like, why wouldn't you maybe...
Push it into the fire
station so the characters could be on, like, again, plan B, but because we weren't in charge.
Yeah. So we split up. James and I went back to Galaxy's Edge again. One of the most magical things about the party for us was that when we went to Galaxy's Edge, first of all, that was like the place to be, because of course everyone wants to be in the Star Wars land for a Star Wars night, and they're all big Star Wars fans. And during the fireworks, tons of lightsaber blades. It was kind of magical in that case. But one of the things that I liked a lot was in Galaxy's Edge, there were so many people in costumes that Batuu actually felt like a Star Wars town, because there were so many people that were in costumes and hanging out and walking around. There was people dressed as aliens. Yeah. There was people dressed as, humans, all the different range of things. Lots of lightsabers going around and everything. There were some really talented people that were good at wielding their lightsabers. The person that was in line at the front of Ezra and Sabine had customized his lightsabers and cool. made his whole outfit.
He was telling us about, so like he had, I think he had built his lightsaber originally at Savi's, but then the like plastic wood pieces that were on, he somehow swapped out for real wood pieces. Like
leather too.
Yeah, real, like it was plastic leather. Like, yeah, it was amazing. So for me, what really made it was the people that was there, which is sad and disappointing to say. I don't like, the thing that was the coolest was the other guests. Yeah, there was, but like Tag was saying, the costumes some of these people, like I would have thought that they were character meet and greets. That's how like amazing.
Well, that's why you and Vern thought Zam Wessel was just a random person
until we saw that Zam was not by themselves. Yeah. So yeah, it was really cool. Overall, my thing with it, I haven't figured out if it was because it was May the 4th, if we just had the worst ever timing, or if that's just kind of how Star Wars night is. But it was sadly not up to our expectations.
Well, what confused me was we had read reviews from not from May 2nd, but last year's Star Wars night. Yeah. And people thought it was like the best after hours party total.
Yeah.
So we were kind of surprised that it was this. Now, again, we're not sure if it was something with the weather they kind of dampened a lot of things, or because we came on May the 4th, like maybe if we would have gone on a different day, if it would have been better or what. But it just seemed like it was just kind of like, it reminded me a lot of the weird snafus we had. It reminded me a lot of our first D23 Expo, where like it seemed like there was just a lot of people, a lot of cast that were working it that were just not informed of what was going on. Yeah. And we were laughing because there was a few cast members, and I don't knock them for this, but there were a few cast members working the event who like didn't know anything about Star Wars. So they were like, I'm not sure who, like Teresa, you were saying that the guy was saying that Ezra was coming out, but he's like, oh no, it was Rex.
Yeah, it's Rex.
Because he got the names all confused.
Yeah. So it was a little tough. So overall, we feel we're the worst for James and Vern, because we thought this was going to be like the most magical ever night for them. And it was kind of a flop.
Didn't pan out that way.
The Ewoks, though, were very fun. I was very glad we got to end on a high note with the Ewoks. Vern also tried, there was a churro back there that was themed to the Endor Forest. The weird thing, too, is so we had food. That was another kind of goofy thing. There was food in the program, or like the event map, the event guide, but there was only photos. It didn't have any descriptions.
Yeah, that was a bummer.
And then on the app, some of the Star Wars food was available for mobile order, some of it was not. But so we didn't always have descriptions of what some of these food items were, but that actually worked to our advantage for this Endor Forest churro that Vern tried. Vern is not a fan of coconut. If he would have read the description of this churro before trying the churro, he would not have ordered it, but he loved it. It was one of his favorite churros of the trip. It had toasted coconut on it, but it also had a coconut caramel sauce, and it was a chocolate churro on it, and it was very good. So we enjoyed that while we were waiting for the Ewok. It was very in theme.
We went back to Galaxy's Edge. I ordered there was a pasta dish that was at Dock 7. I don't remember what the name of it is off the top of my head, but it was so good. I had to scarf it down because they give it to you in the normal Dock 7 thing, and producer James was trying to get something from, I think Red Rose is where his pickup was. And so we were trying to do that and meet back together, and I didn't want to take the Dock 7 bowl out, so I scarfed it down, but man, it was so easy to scarf down. It was so good.
I was surprised it was good, because quite honestly, looking at your photo, it didn't look all that
the
appealing.
Carbonara was amazing. It had ham. It had...
Oh, that was carbonara.
Yeah,
it was
I get it now. Wonderful. It was probably... If they had it on the normal item, I would order it all the time. It was fantastic, yeah. There was a couple different drinks I think we tried. But the other thing that I want to point out, because we had a lot of questions about this ourselves, so try to help you for the future, was there was a lot of questions of... We still couldn't quite figure out when stuff showed up in the app because it seemed kind of hit or miss. At what time during the day did it show up? That was one. The other one was when the merchandise would show up. So like they had the special Star Wars Night shirts and stuff. So I talked to a cast member and they said that basically as soon as they felt that most of the day guests were gone, that is when they would allow it out. So after we met up with Ezra and Sabine, we went right into the Emporium because the place you could get it was you could get it at the Star Trader, the Emporium, or Pioneer Mercantile. So we picked it up at the Emporium, and literally it's just a rack that they roll out by the register. It wasn't like merchandise because obviously...
And it was just a t-shirt.
Yeah, it was just a t-shirt.
Party. There was a special May the 4th pin that was available all day. Yep.
Yeah, because
with Greedo on it.
A couple weekly tiers that went to the event wanted to get the shirt, and they went to Star Trader and they had sold out already. And they did not know that it was also Pioneer Mercantile and
I wish the
Emporium.
The cast member would have let them know, because we don't know if it was totally sold out or if it was just sold out in that location. But.
Yeah. So just to be clear, we did talk to. There were some weekly tiers that were also attending that night that we ran into, and they kind of had the same disappointing kind of. Vibe.
We also ran into some other people that we were standing in a queue somewhere for something, and we got to chatting. It was on the next day, so it was Friday. So we got to chatting. They also were disappointed. They said that the Yoda beignets were sold out, and that was the thing that they were trying to get food-wise. They were having a hard time with getting to some of the meet and greets, and they felt like there was also a lack of ambiance, entertainment-y kind of things aside. It just felt like it was a lot of waiting in quite long lines to do photo ops, because it kind of felt like that was the only thing really to do aside from the one fireworks show. So yeah, I'm kind of on the fence. If I think maybe you and I would try it again. I don't know if the producers.
I think they're like scarred.
I'm thinking they're not feeling like they need to do it. I think they're a little timid on after-hour events now too.
Now, if you attended a Star Wars night either last year or some other date this year, let us know what your experience is.
Give us feedback.
Because maybe we just had a bad night because of the rain and stuff. Because we didn't talk to anybody that was here other than the 4th.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, so let us know because. We really were excited for this event. So, but that was our experience at Star Wars Night, May the 4th. I will say it was really nice to be in the park on May the 4th. There was a lot of cool people.
I probably enjoyed the day.
Yeah.
More so than the night.
It's okay. I'll be the only weekly tier without an answer. Make sure you send your questions to Producer James or Producer Vern at trivia@DLWeekly.net.
Welcome back to Trivia Land, where we're going to find out the answers to the questions.
Because we did not give them.
No, we definitely did not.
Let's find out how you did. Your first question.
Let's find out the answers is what you mean.
Submitted by listener Tim J. On the Alice in Wonderland ride, what is written over the entrance to the Queen of Hearts courtroom? Your answers were Her Majesty the Queen of Hearts or Stumped. The correct answer that we were looking for was Sentence first, verdict afterwards.
Off with her head.
Nope, that wasn't it.
Yep, that's a line in the movie. Spoiler alert, Tag couldn't help himself and was trying to find a YouTube of it, and so we saw part of it, and I'm like, oh, wait, that they said that in the movie, so I was just like, trying to think. I'm like, oh, I think it's sentence first, verdict afterwards.
Yeah.
It is. Shows that I just need to watch Alice in Wonderland again. Getting rusty on the quotes.
Mm-hmm.
Your second listener submitted question from listener Stacia S. Who are Donald Duck's parents? Your answers were I got nothing and stumped. The correct answer that I was looking for was Quackmore Duck and Hortense McDuck, the youngest sister of Scrooge McDuck, Donald's uncle.
See, he could do this trivia question again, and he can say, who's Scrooge McDuck's younger sister, and use the same
Donald's
answer.
mother.
Wow.
It's not wrong.
I would give a half point for that, just for putting all that together. Your third listener submitted question from listener Michelle M. What attraction is in both Disneyland and in the Magic Kingdom Disney World, but is spelled differently in each park?
Oh, here we go.
Tag said, gives up, and Teresa said, stumped. The correct answer that I was looking for was the Astro Orbitor in Disneyland and the Astro Orbiter in Magic Kingdom.
We even said that. We're terrible.
Should have went with it.
And I had to be careful with the hints that I gave where I said, well, it's in Tomorrowland, but I couldn't tell you any more because if I had said it's at the entrance to Tomorrowland,
right, yeah.
that would have been a dead giveaway. So I couldn't help you any more than I did. I'm sorry.
I couldn't even remember if Walt Disney World had an Astro Orbiter, so there's that.
See, I thought it was called the Rocket Jets, but I guess I could be wrong.
And you were so confident in saying that's what made me start double vetting. And your fourth and final regular round question, submitted by listener Stephanie S. What are Mickey Mouse's nephews' names? Your answers were stumped and stumped. The correct answers that I was looking for were Morty and Ferdy Field Mouse. Or if you're looking at pre-World War II comics, I would have accepted Morty and Monty.
Cute.
And the
Morty, Monty, and Mickey.
Yep. And the twins are the sons of Mickey's sister Amelia Field Mouse, who is also Oswald the Lucky Rabbit's half-sister.
There's a family trees happening in the trivia tonight.
Yes. That's why I actually picked those two questions, the Donald Duck and the Mickey Mouse. I thought, oh, this is nice. We're getting a whole family thing going on here. We're learning a lot about Disney families.
Well, we certainly are.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So is it, wait. So did you say the name was Field Mouse?
Yeah.
Field Mouse.
So is Mickey's name isn't Mickey Field Mouse?
No, Mickey's Mickey Mouse.
Oh, okay.
Maybe he dropped the field when he immigrated?
I don't know.
And my family dropped all sorts of letters when... I don't know. And your final question, submitted by listener Tara F. The oldest bottle on display in Coke Corner. What was the first bottle to be used by Coca-Cola? Your answers were the gold one or the balloon-shaped one. The gold one was the 50th anniversary bottle limited edition with actual gold plating to it. The balloon-shaped one was a limited edition that came out in the 1920s. But the correct answer we were looking for was the Hutchinson bottle, used from 1899 to 1905.
Okay.
And it is, if you're looking at all of the bottles, it is the most straight-lined, no curvature to it, doesn't look like a classic Coke bottle at all.
Oh.
And interestingly, the Hutchinson bottle had a solid metal cap to the top of it that you had to puncture. And due to the carbonation inside, when you punctured it, it made a popping sound. And that's where we now get the term soda pop.
Huh.
Interesting.
Fascinating.
Yep. Well, listeners, how do you think they did? How did you do listening at home? Do you think you've got some great questions that can really stump them next time? If you think you've got that perfect question and you'd like to hear it on the air, feel free to send that in to trivia@dlweekly.net.
Well, we will be back next week with more Disneyland news and information.
Until then, go out and enjoy the parks.
Please remain seated until the podcast comes to a complete stop and the doors have opened. Then collect your belongings, watch your head, and step carefully from the episode. On behalf of all of our crew, thanks for traveling with us, and we hope you have a happy and memorable visit here at DL Weekly.